On September 18, 2025, as severe storms moved through Southern California, authorities ended up responding to the 24,000th block of West Main Street in Barstow, California, for reports of a vehicle being swept away by floodwaters. Investigators say that around 7 p.m. on the 18th of September, 26-year-old Brandon Padilla Aguirre and his son Xavier were attempting to drive across a flooded section of West Main Street. This was when Brandon's vehicle was pulled off the roadway due to the force of the flowing water and taken away with the current. Somehow, someway, Brandon and Xavier became separated from the vehicle that they were traveling in and ultimately separated from each other as the current carried them downstream. Brandon said that he had gotten Xavier out of his car seat in order to get both of them to safety, however, was unsuccessful. Emergency crews actually ended up locating Brandon fairly quickly and were able to rescue him and bring him to a nearby hospital where he was later released. However, authorities were unable to find Xavier. This is when a massive search effort began for him. It wasn't until the next afternoon when Xavier's body was found in the San Bernardino County Flood Control Channel, which is south of the Mojave River. A GoFundMe page was created for Xavier's funeral expenses by the family, and they were ultimately able to lay him to rest, but authorities were still investigating behind the scenes. Now, about a month after this tragic incident unfolded, on October 17th, 2025, Barstow police detectives were able to gather enough evidence to obtain an arrest warrant for Xavier's father, Brandon. He was arrested at his home on the 300th block of Chandler Avenue without incident. This right here is a photo of him being arrested and taken into custody, and he was booked into the San Bernardino County Sheriff's High Desert Detention Center and charged with MUR-DER, but prosecutors ultimately lessened that charge to vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence and child abuse under circumstances or conditions likely to cause great bodily injury or death to the child. The DA's office ultimately felt like these two charges were more suited for Brandon. Now, this has caused a lot of people to wonder if Brandon intentionally did something to his son, if Brandon wanted to take his son's life, and based on what I'm reading, I don't think that that's the case. In order to charge one with vehicular manslaughter, you have to have proof that the unintentional unaliving of a person took place, keyword unintentional, from a result of a driver's unlawful, reckless, or negligent operation of a vehicle. So the DA is basically holding him accountable for being negligent and for acting in ways that did result in his son's death, not necessarily charging him for intentionally taking his son's life or wanting him to no longer be alive. Through Brandon's court-appointed attorney, he did end up pleading not guilty to these two charges. He's due back in the courtroom next week, and he is being held on a $200,000 bond. What do you guys think about all of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.